JBN, we keep you informed. Manchester construction worker shot dead on site. A Manchester man was shot dead at a construction site in the community of Cobbler in the parish's northwest on December 3. He has been identified as 33-year-old Yoma Ashley, otherwise called Homie. Police reports are that Ashley was at work shortly after midday when a gunman approached him and opened fire, hitting him in the head and upper body multiple times. Ashley was taken to the hospital and pronounced dead on arrival. Probe ongoing into murder of St. Thomas Cabby. The St. Thomas police are continuing their probe into the murder of a taxi operator in Yalos on Monday. The deceased man has been identified as 33-year-old Michael Simpson. Reports are that about 4:50 p.m., residents heard explosions and called the police. On their arrival, Simpson was found with multiple wounds in his car, which had earlier crashed into a concrete post. He was pronounced dead at hospital. Scammers try to cash in on Benjamin Bear. Unscrupulous individuals have been soliciting money on behalf of relatives of dead 7-year-old Clancarty student Benjamin Bear, and his grieving relatives are asking those persons to cease and desist. Benjamin died tragically when a garbage truck got out of control and slammed into another vehicle before crushing him at the Kingston School on October 28. The driver of the truck was subsequently charged with manslaughter. But just 5 days before his funeral, Benjamin's mother, Japhne Campbell, said that scammers have been using the family's grief to enrich themselves. Persons have been going to MP Mark Golding, and another person went to Desmond McKenzie, who came on air 2 weeks ago, saying that he's standing with the parents of Benjamin Bear, Campbell said on Tuesday. McKenzie is Member of Parliament for Kingston Western and Minister of Local Government and Community Development. I don't know who these persons are, and I did not send anybody to ask for anything on my behalf, said Campbell. The government has already said they are going to deal with it, and so I hold them at their word. I have not asked anyone to make such a request on my behalf, and I urge them to cease and desist, she continued. Benjamin's funeral is slated to take place on Sunday at the North Street Seventh-day Adventist Church on Sunday, starting at 10 a.m. His body will be interred at Dovecot Memorial Park in St. Catherine. Last month, Campbell had criticized the Ministry of Education for dragging its feet on funding the funeral. She said that the ministry was prepared to pay for the funeral and the storage charges, but not the expenses relating to his wake, which is set for this Saturday. Yesterday, Campbell said that the financing of the wake is still being finalized and that she is to attend a meeting with government representatives today, Thursday. Campbell and relatives remained mum yesterday on whether the family would sue the government for the boy's death. So too did their attorney Jacqueline Cummings, who said that burying young Benjamin is the priority at the moment. Right now, we are dealing with the family's grief and dealing with the funeral arrangements. We are not ready to discuss that, a possible lawsuit just yet, said Cummings. 2 suspects nabbed in Negril double murder. The Westmoreland police have taken 2 suspects into custody in relation to last Friday night's brutal murder of a Negril businessman and his Italian wife who were tied up and shot in what the police believe was a West End home invasion and robbery. Superintendent Robert Gordon, the commanding officer for Westmoreland, confirmed that the suspects were undergoing interrogation but disclosed that there were other suspects at large who are presently being sought by the police. The deceased couple have been identified as Osborne Richards, 49, and his 45-year-old wife, Patricia Richards. We are at a very delicate stage in our investigation, and in short order, we're expecting to make a significant breakthrough, explained Gordon. According to reports, approximately 12:35 a.m. last Friday, assailants broke into the house and attacked the couple. It is unclear what transpired on the inside, but residents reportedly heard shots being fired. When the police visited the location, the couple's blood-soaked bodies were found inside the ransacked house with their hands tied and their bodies punctured with multiple bullet wounds. Some items were missing from the house. The murder, which was the first major incident in the resort town since the Tri-Parish State of Public Emergency SOE was declared in Hanover, St. James and Westmoreland on April 30. It left residents and business interests in shock that the shooting occurred amid increased police and military presence. Westmoreland was one of the bloodiest police divisions in 2018, but the SOE has been credited with slashing murders by 36%, or from 132 to 85, up to November 30 this year compared to the corresponding period. One businessman expressed fears that such incidents could damage the resort town's tourism product, which is the lifeblood of its economy. Things were really bad at the start of this year, with a number of murders, but things got quiet after the state of emergency was imposed. A West End businessman who requested to remain anonymous because of safety concerns said in the aftermath of the murders. I believe we are steadily killing the golden goose, so we might soon find ourselves without any eggs in the grill, he said. Pay for performance to be introduced in public sector, says Finance Minister. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clarke yesterday announced that permanent secretaries have agreed to the introduction of performance pay as part of their compensation package. According to Clarke, this is a positive development. Permanent secretaries being willing to embrace the concept of performance pay definitely means that those are permanent secretaries who have Jamaica's best interests at heart and are willing to put their compensation on the line for performance, Clarke said. The finance minister was speaking at the signing ceremony between the government and international consulting firm Ernst & Young for 2 contracts for public sector compensation review and the introduction of shared corporate services in some areas of government operations. For the compensation review project, Clarke noted that the public sector is in need of an equitable and transparent pay and job evaluation system. He emphasized that there are approximately 325 separate salary scales in central government and over 185 allowances. Under the contract, valued at US $1.6 million, the ministry said the consultants will, among other things, undertake a review of GOJ compensation system, which should also indicate the current positioning of GOJ within the Jamaican market, develop a proposal for a pay for performance and reward framework, develop a compensation philosophy and policy, and cost and indicate the financial impact of the new compensation structure. The ministry said the consultants will also develop a single job evaluation tool for the public sector. The ministry added that the contract for the introduction of shared corporate services is valued at US $5.4 million and will enable the implementation of shared services in 7 areas of operations, namely human resource management, finance and accounts, procurement, asset management, information and communication technology, internal audit, public relations, and communication. The ministry said that both projects will commence in January 2020, but noted that the shared corporate services project will last for 24 months, while the compensation review project will be completed in 18 months. It's complicated, says police. While admitting that the police could do well with more resources to create an adequate buffer to keep out foreign nationals from coming into the island by sea for nefarious activities, Superintendent Robert Gordon, the commander for the Westmoreland Police Division, says that in the parish, the best use is being made of the resources at their disposal. Gordon was speaking against the background of Tuesday's arrest of 3 Honduran nationals and the seizure of approximately 656 pounds of ganja valued at US $2.6 million on a vessel off the coast of Negril. While not having the requisite statistics at hand, Gordon noted that a fair number of foreign nationals, especially from South America, have been entering the island on illegal missions, which have resulted in some of them being arrested and charged for drugs and gun-related crimes. Over time, we have seen that a number of foreign nationals, especially from South America, have entered our space without proper documentation. Some of them have been caught with contraband, to include firearms or drugs, Gordon said. When asked if the police in Westmoreland were sufficiently equipped to handle the invaders who breached the nation's coastline from the seas, Gordon noted that, like in all other areas of national life, the supply is usually not there to meet the demand. There is never enough resources, whether in economics or otherwise. The demand always outstrips supplies. So for us, the situation is the same, said Gordon. We could do with more resources, but with what we have, we make the best use of it. We make strategic deployments dependent sometimes on our intelligence feed. We make these deployments to arrest the situation as best as we can. Gordon also spoke to the challenge posed by the porous nature of the nation's coastline, which Winston Parker, coordinator for counterterrorism and non-proliferation studies at the Caribbean Maritime University, listed earlier this year as an area that requires significant attention. You know our borders are so porous, and that in itself creates an additional challenge, said Gordon, who nonetheless made it clear that the police will be relentless in going after intruding criminals. In a Gleaner story in June, Packer noted that Jamaica had numerous unmanned entry points and stated that unless ways were found to address the situation, the problem with gun and the drug runners would continue. As I understand it, Jamaica has more than 100 little points of entry to the island where a little canoe or boat can pull up. They are not guarded, they exist, and the traffickers know of them, Packer said. If we're serious about countering this problem, we have to make it a priority to invest in infrastructure that includes 1 or 2 guards, or technology to monitor electronically arrivals, departures, and other activities at these ports remotely. In the incident off the Negril coastline, the Hondurans were intercepted by members of the Jamaica Defense Force Coast Guard and turned over to the police. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.